This is a podcast about one woman's mission to help entrepreneurs and business owners write better business books. Each week, we tackle your writing excuses, because there are excuses too, and help you beat the blank page of doom so that you can write the book that'll grow your life and your business. Now here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. I am Vicky Quinn Fraser, and this week I am back with my husband, Joe.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks.
Good. We're also here with Noodle in the office today, who is studiously looking in the other direction.
Supervising the sofa very nicely.
He is doing a very good job. Yeah. So the office is a bit hot because it's a bank holiday. It's a public holiday here in the UK. And normally I remember to turn off my heater, which comes on for an hour or so before I come into the office just to take the chill off. And I forgot today. So we've walked into an oven.
So we've walked into an oven and spent approximately £3,000 on electricity today.
Spoken by the man who leaves all of the lights on all of the time.
Oh.
So what are you reading at the moment, Joe?
I'm reading Of Women in Salt by Gabriela Garcia.
Is it good? That's one of my books.
It is one of your books. Yeah, it's good. I like it. I'm only a couple of chapters in, but it's interesting. Yeah.
Cool. Would you like to give us a clue as to what it's about?
Well, so far it seems to be about different people in the same family at different generations. So there's a chapter at the start about Cuba and rolling cigars. Mm. And there's also a chapter about 1990s Miami. Same family, different generations. I'm assuming it's all going to kind of join up at some point.
Probably. Yeah. Cool. It sounds good.
Yeah,
I'll look forward to that.
It's really good, actually. It's interesting. Nice.
And you've just read Do No Harm by Henry Marsh, which I have also just read.
That's because you threw it at me and said you need to read this. And you were right. It was a very good book.
Isn't it great?
A really good book.
It's a memoir by a neurosurgeon called Henry Marsh. And he's retired.
Hi, Henry.
Hi, Henry. He's retired now. But it's just so good. It made me laugh. It made me cry. It made me ragey about the state of bureaucracy in the NHS and how patient care has massively declined since efficiency stuff has been brought in.
Yeah.
And it also made me diagnose myself with a multitude of different brain tumours because that's how I roll.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was really good. Really interesting.
It was absolutely brilliant. Yeah. He's a really, really engaging writer, and he just gives you what I feel like is a really realistic impression of like a guy who is kind of incredibly arrogant, but also incredibly caring about, because he obviously cares incredibly deeply about his patients.
But he's kind of aware that he needs to look after himself, otherwise he won't be able to do it anymore. Yeah.
And also I think, to cut into people's brains, and, there's got to be a level of arrogance there that is just like, I can do, you've got to feel like I can do this because
you've got to make some big decisions, haven't you?
Yeah.
Big decisions for other people's lives.
Yeah, and quite a lot of those decisions involve choosing not to do anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, brilliant book, really, really good book. My MA tutor recommended that I read it, and I'm very glad I did. Yeah, super. And I am also reading at the moment, I am reading Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, which I've never read any Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
No, and I'm really enjoying it. It's really good. I can't work out who done it.
How far through are you?
I'm in the final third of the book. So the book is divided into 3 sections, and it's like the first bit is kind of what happened, and the second bit is when he gathers the evidence from everybody. So when he has people in for interview and he goes over everything, and the third bit is his thinking about it. And
is Orient Express a Poirot?
It's Poirot, yeah. And so yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I've got a couple of ideas as to who it might be, but I have a feeling that I'm going to get it wrong. So, but it's very good. And I've also just read, right on the heels of Do No Harm, I also immediately afterwards read The Brain by David Eagleman. Read both of these books in 2 or 3 days. Mm-hmm. And The Brain is also really fascinating because it's just about how your brain works, and then also the future of what brains might be able to do, and how we might be able to leave our corporeal bodies behind at some point, or, just extend. Because one of the things that I found really fascinating is that the brain is just like a blob of jelly in a dark box, and it doesn't see anything or hear anything or any of the rest of it. It just gathers as much data as possible and then interprets it. And so some of the stuff that I found most fascinating was like what they're able to do with for people who are deaf and blind and, you know, have other kind of sensory impairments and stuff. And it's just like you can get this vest and you can hear through vibrations on your torso. And given practice, the brain will be able to hear words. And I say hear in like, you know, air quotes. But people who were born deaf can learn to hear through vibrations in the torso that are picked up. It is awesome because when you think about it, there's like insects and birds and animals out there that have like, birds have magnetite in their brains. So they use magnetism to, as a sense. There are fish that use electrical signals to kind of navigate around, and bats use sonar, and you know there are other animals that see in light ranges that we can't see.
If you can just provide data to your brain, it'll start trying to interpret it.
Yeah, and so the only reason that we have the senses that we have is because that's the organs that have evolved, but the brain itself could, you know, if we could find a way to take X-rays and input it into the brain without frying your brain, I guess, then the brain could use that to interpret what's out there. And I just find that fascinating. It's so interesting. Anyway, so yeah, go read The Brain by David Eagleman. It's also a BBC series, which I would also really like to see. Still also reading How to Live a Life of Montaigne, and I've also just started reading My Left Foot by Christy Brown, which is another memoir. Reading a lot of books at the moment.
A lot of books.
Yeah. But yeah, and this week at the Dingle, what have we been doing? We are plumbing.
Plumbing. We reached a point where we really had to just start doing some plumbing.
Yeah.
So we've been doing some plumbing.
Yeah, we haven't filled any of the pipes with water yet, so they might all leak, but we've put them together. We are going to put them all together over the next couple of weeks, and then we are going to water tightness test them. I'm going to turn the pressure right up, turn all the taps on, and then hide. So, and then after we've done that, we'll be able to start tiling, and
it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And then last night, the reason this is so late, well, you don't think it's late because you're hearing it when you hear it, but Podfly, that this is late, is because we had a bunch of friends around last night to have a movie night, and we watched horror movies, and I don't do horror movies because they scare the crap out of me, and that is exactly what happened. And so we ended up going to bed at about 2:30 in the morning, which is so late, and I didn't get to sleep until about 5 because I was freaking terrified.
Nice.
So we watched 2 films. We watched Midsummer, which is really good. And I enjoyed that in a kind of, you know, there were moments that were totally gross, but it's about a weird Swedish cult where I'm pretty sure they were eating people and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good. I enjoyed that. And then the second film was Hereditary, which was absolutely fucking horrific. Hated it. Hated everything about it. It was very well made, very well put together. Lighting, sound, filmography was awesome. And I just found it incredibly disturbing. Really hated it.
So I really enjoyed the Swedish cult thing.
Yeah, it's good.
Base.
Yeah.
Really good fun. I kind of didn't get the other one. I didn't find it scary.
Did you not?
There was a couple of jumps in it.
Yeah, you jumped when I didn't. That was
and there
funny.
were a couple of points where you kind of think, oh, right, there's a thing in the corner, isn't there? Oh
my God, it
but
was
other than that, I
awful.
was just like, okay, this is just a thing.
Oh, I hated it. It was like, thanks, I hated that. So, yeah, I was going to be at least a year before I watch another horror film because I just can't. The thing with me is I can't stop reliving the stuff that sticks with me in my head, and that's what I find incredibly disturbing. So, like when we went to bed, I was trying to go through my trapeze routine in my head, and then I would get to a certain point, and then just an image from that film would like intrude itself, and I'd be like, "Fuck, that's great, thanks." It was horrible. I'm not happy about it at all. I'm not at all happy about it. I don't know why I do this to myself. Anyway, what are we talking about this week?
I have no idea. I just walked in and sat down, and here I am.
Oh my God. Let's stop talking about scary stuff, and let's talk about what a book coach actually does. Because I don't think we've ever talked about this before.
Have we not?
I don't think so.
Surely?
No, I don't think so. I think we've talked about like editing and writing, obviously writing all the time, but yeah, I thought we'd talk about what I actually do for my clients.
Okay.
So, do you want to know what I do for my clients?
Tell me, what do you do for your clients, Vicky? I'm intrigued.
I don't think you are. Bit upset about that. Okay. What do? I do many, many things, but I think there are 10 main things.
Right.
So I'll just quickly run through them in a list and then we can go home.
Okay.
So I help my clients get their idea out of their head and onto the page, which I know seems really obvious, but I feel like we should say it because it is the thing that I do. So why are you looking at me like that?
I'm being attentive.
Okay, cool. I'd rather you said something.
Okay. Good. I mean, that does sound like the thing that you should be doing.
Yeah, so, I mean, quite often, you can't see this, but Joe's looming over me. It does sound obvious, but, like, quite often people will come to me and they'll be like, oh, I've got this idea for a book, here's my idea. They sometimes will be sure it's a really good idea, but they won't be quite sure how it's going to work or, how the book will work or whatever.
Maybe sometimes it's not as structured as it should be.
Yeah, sometimes they'll come to me and they'll have like maybe a couple of ideas and they're like, oh, I don't know which one to choose. Or sometimes they'll be like, oh, I've got an idea, but actually it turns out that it's kind of 3 ideas and they're trying to cram too much in. And there's all sorts of things that people come to me with. So what I do is we take that idea and we look at it from every single angle. And we look at it from the point of view of what you want to achieve with your book. We look at it from the point of view of the reader, what you want the reader to get out of it. We look at it from the point of view of, whether it's I don't want to say original idea because that's not the point, but what your take on it is and what you're going to bring to the idea.
Sharpening the idea.
Yeah, bringing some real clarity to it and making sure that your message is exciting and compelling and all the rest of it. So it's about being an editor for the idea and for the book, but it's not. I'm more than just an editor. Mm-hmm. Don't say just an editor. Editors are awesome. I'm more than simply an editor. So that's the first thing is like really examining your idea and making it clear and making sure that you know what you're working with and what you're going to turn
what the purpose is.
Yeah, and what you're going to turn that idea into. And so the second thing I do, and this is really, really important because this is the real difference between an editor and a book coach is I take care of you, the writer, and you're the most important thing to me, you and your book, because I'm not the one writing your book. I'm not editing your book in the sense that you're going to then give it to me to edit it. Mm-hmm. I'm helping you to put, to write your book. And then we kind of go through that. I help you edit it. I go through the editing process with you. But ultimately, I want to make sure that you feel okay about everything. I want to make sure that you're happy, where you're, I want to know where you're struggling, where you're challenged, what you're really enjoying. I'm going to help you celebrate all your wins. I'm going to make sure that, I've got space for the inevitable pain and woe that will ensue when you're writing a book, because there are painful moments. It's not an easy thing to do. And giving you a bit of space where you need a bit of space, because sometimes shit happens in life. And also then knowing when to push you where that's required, because I really need to know the difference between, okay, you really do need a bit of space, and okay, do you just need a kick up the arse here? Because there's both of those. So I'm really interested in you as the person. And how you're kind of writing your book and making sure that you're able to do it in a way that suits you, but also get the damn thing done.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be kind of sustainable, isn't it? Because it's a big project. It's a big lump of work that somebody has chosen to insert into their life.
Yeah.
And getting that done is you don't want to sacrifice your life or sacrifice your family relationships or
no, absolutely
wreck
not.
your job or anything like that. You want to. It's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not, and that's what I'm here for, is to help you get all of that done and balance it, and yeah. So the third thing I do, and this is really, really important as well, is I always tell the truth. Mm-hmm. Always tell the truth. So if I think something is not working, I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to do it with kindness and I'm going to do it with grace, but I am going to tell you the truth. So if I don't think, if I think there's an aspect of your idea that's not working, then I will tell you and I will explain why, mm-hmm. and I will show you how I think you can make it, how you can make it work. I am absolutely not here to just pat you on the head and say, yes, this is lovely. And, I've worked with people before who I think wanted that. It's like just to be, patted on the head and be like, yes, this is great. So I'm always really careful to try and work with people who are fine with taking correction and criticism. And, I am never the one who is like, I know more about what you do and what your book is going to be about than than you do. That's not the point. The point is the writing working? Is the book working? Is the structure of it working? And if it's not, I'm going to let you know that. I'm going to make suggestions.
Have you gone off track? Should this really be a blog post rather than a chapter in your book?
Yeah, exactly. And here is a bit that's unclear, and this writing is a little bit, we can make this writing a bit stronger, more compelling.
You've changed your tone from here to there.
Yeah, that's more copy editor and line editor than it's kind of that fine detail of tone stuff. But it's more about just kind of making sure that you write the best book you can possibly write. It doesn't do me or you any good if I kind of soothe your ego and let stuff go that I really feel strongly about. Ultimately, the decision is the client's.
Of course it is.
It's not my book, but I am absolutely going to give you, my opinion based on my experience and, what I know works elsewhere. So yeah, but I will always be kind about it. Number 4. And this kind of goes together with number 3, is I will be your number 1 cheerleader. I will help you get over all of the obstacles, and I will also celebrate every win with you. And if it's like a tiny win, if it's like I got up today and wrote, 100 words and that was all I can manage, I'm going to cheer you for that, because sometimes it's really difficult to get up and write 100 words.
And having written a few books, you know that.
I know that, yeah. If when you've written the first draft of chapter 1, absolutely, I'm going to tell you to go and celebrate, even if that celebration is a piece of cake and a cup of tea or whatever. It's like, actually take a few minutes to celebrate doing it, because
recognize this has happened. Yeah,
and I will ask you as well, at various points, how are you celebrating this little win? And then at the end, obviously, there's a big win because you've got your book, but yeah, I will be your number 1 cheerleader. Number 5, I will also hold you accountable. Not going to let you get away with excuses. I will give you time and space if you have got shit going on in your life, absolutely. But if I feel like, or if you tell me that, you are not making time and you could make time and you're procrastinating, then I will hold you accountable for it. You are paying me, my clients pay me in actual cash money, and also in time and effort. And so, you don't want to be investing that time, money, and effort to not get the thing done. And that's what I'm here for, is like, I will be on your case to make sure you get it done. And also it's, I don't want to be wasting my time and effort. Even it's not enough for me that I get paid to do something. I also want to see people make progress. And so I'm not going to take people's money if I think I can't help them. Sure. And, if the relationship isn't working, then that's something that we'll kind of revisit and look at as well. It's like, I want to make sure that you get the damn book done. That's what we're both here for. It's in both our interests. So yeah, if you hire a book coach, you are ready to get serious about writing your book and get your book done. So that's part of my role, is to hold you accountable to do that.
Absolutely. Nice.
Yeah. I also help you plan for the future as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So thinking about where your book fits into your wider business and life and what you want it to do for you.
Okay.
So I'm not, I don't do marketing. I'm not a book marketing expert, but I will absolutely advise you on what can be your first steps. I know people who do this stuff really well, and I will help you think about the longer term, what you can do with your book afterwards as well, because I mostly work with people who run businesses and who are writing nonfiction. And most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, they want their book to fit into their business and to help them grow their business as well. Sure. There are multiple reasons for writing the book. So I will help you with that as well. I will also help you to make publishing decisions, because that's really hard. And a lot of people are like, oh, do I go traditional publish? Do I try and find an agent and a publisher, or do I independently publish? And, what's best? I don't know. I can't say to somebody it's best for you to do this, that, or the other without getting to know you and your goals a little bit first. But I will help you to make that decision. And, we'll go through all the pros and cons of each. And, I'll let you know what's involved in each as well. There's a lot of work involved in each. It's different types of work. So there's some crossover, but yeah, I will absolutely help you to make that publishing decision as well. So I think that's quite a difficult one. I will also hold your hand through marketing. Like I said, I'm not going to do the marketing for you, but I will advise you on it. I will help you. I will help you make decisions about what you want to do, how you're going to fit your book into your kind of business marketing and all the rest of it, I will
signpost a few directions you could go in.
Absolutely. And I've got some really good contacts in the book marketing industry as well, so I can point you in that direction. But I will absolutely hold your hand through the beginning of that. I'm here to help guide you through that as well, and give you a couple of directions that you could go in. And number 9, I will help you to get the best out of working with other publishing professionals too.
So, for example, editors and cover designers and
typesetters,
printers and all that lot.
Yeah, because especially if you do go the traditional publishing route, that's all taken care of for you, and that is one of the bonuses of that. But if you decide to independently publish, which most of my clients do, then there's a lot of different people to work with, and instead of just sending you off to Google stuff, I've got amazing contacts in the industry that I can put you in touch with at different investment levels, and
that can save quite a lot of money, doesn't it? You don't turn up with a horribly formatted Word document. You can take steps to reduce the amount of work there is out there that you have to pay for.
Exactly. That's a really good point, actually, because I can not only put you in touch with people, I can tell you and help you get the manuscript to where it needs to be so that you can get the most out of working with them as well. We can do quite a lot of the groundwork for cover design, for example, before you ever go talk to a cover designer, because there's loads of stuff that you can do that will mean that when you actually turn up with your ideas, the cover designer will thank you for it, because they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is great. We're not starting from a totally blank canvas. Because there's nothing worse than somebody turning up and going, oh, I don't really know what I want it to look like, but I'll know it when I see it. That's every designer's worst nightmare, because whatever they come up with is going to be wrong.
Probably repeatedly wrong.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of stuff that we can do for that kind of thing to help move that along. And finally, I think perhaps one of the most important things is that I 100% believe that you can do this, because I quite often, when people first come to me, they're not sure. It's a massive thing. Can I really do this thing? Yeah, really worried about it. And I'm like, absolutely, you can bloody do this. And that kind of frees you up to get on with it then. I think when somebody else puts that level of kind of trust and belief in you, you can kind of let go of those worries then and be like, oh, right, I've got this, not a safety net, but I've got this person kind of who's got my back, and I can concentrate on getting the book written now. So I think that's one of the most important things, because one of the most surprising things I think for clients is to look back at how they've changed over the course of writing a book and how their confidence has grown. And for me, that's one of the most delightful things. So I can see all this at the start. Like, I can see what people are capable of in terms of writing a book before they ever start writing, far more clearly than they can see it themselves. And so for me, one of the most delightful things is at the end when I see them go like, I did this thing that I wasn't sure I'd be able to do. And you can see them like grow a little bit taller, and it's just really, really cool. It's one of my favorite things to see. So and I will see that at the start, and I will help you see it as we go along as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's fun. I also I'll make it fun. Like, I'm not going to lie. There are going to be moments where you will hate it and you will want to give up. And I've never worked with anyone, never known anyone who's written a book who hasn't at some point wanted to set fire to the whole thing. But I want most of it to be enjoyable. And, it can be. It doesn't have to be. You'll see people out there saying, oh, it's like, it's so painful and it's awful and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, there are moments like that, sure. But if the whole process is like that, something's gone wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
So
you should be having more fun than that.
Yeah, in everything, I think. It's like, life isn't always going to be sunshine and roses, but it shouldn't be really shit all the time either. So yeah, that's is there anything else you want to know about book coaches? Anything that I've missed?
I don't know.
I think I've covered that. I mean, book coaches do many things, but I think they're the 10 main ones. 10 main things. Certainly the 10 main things that I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's the takeaway, Joe?
Time to get to know different book coaches, because it's a pretty close relationship.
That was very well read off the screen.
It was read off the screen, wasn't it?
That's fine. That's cool. It is a good takeaway, though, because, like, I don't just work with everybody who rocks up.
No.
And talks to me. And
sometimes they don't fit.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't fit.
And sometimes they'll talk to me and they'll be like, actually, this is not the right fit. And that's cool, because for my one-on-one book coaching, that's a 6-month program, and we're talking every week.
Yeah.
We need to get on. And we need to click, because otherwise that's not going to work. So do take the time, if you ever come across a book coach who's not willing to have conversation, at least one conversation with you before you start, I would be really wary, because I would never start working with somebody without at least a short conversation, and preferably a little bit of a long one. And usually the people who come to me have been following me on social media. They've been reading my emails for a while. They've been reading my articles and things.
Might have read a book or two.
Yeah, hopefully they've read my book. So you want to get to know the type of person that you're going to be working with. And make sure that you're going to get on. And if you're not a good fit, that doesn't mean that you're now enemies. It just means that there are, I know some amazing book coaches, and I have and will in the future refer people who I don't think are a good fit for me to go and work with one of those people, because I know that, perhaps they'll be a better fit for that person's personality or that person's way of working.
So I'm struggling to, I don't know how to ask this tactfully, but what makes you think it's not a good fit?
Sometimes I just don't want to, depending on what the topic of the book is, there are some things that aren't in my wheelhouse. So I'm not a woo person at all. If somebody came to me and they wanted to do crystal healing or something, a book on crystal healing, I would feel really weird about doing that, because it's just not something that I just don't believe in it. It's just not a thing that I do. And that's no shade to people who do. I don't believe in gods or religions either. So that's another thing that I would,
Religions definitely exist.
You know what I mean? I'm an atheist, so and an agnostic atheist. So I'm not saying that I would definitely not work with somebody who wanted to write a book about religion or about faith or something, but
somebody who was trying to convince people of
something. If it was a book about anti-vaxxing, for example, I'm absolutely not going to help somebody write that book, because I just think that's something that there are things that are we can believe different things and be fine.
Get on okay.
But anti-vaxxing, absolutely not. But there are just, and then there are other things I've got no problem with things I've got no problem with people doing crystal healing and stuff. It's not something that I believe in, but I also know that people like that sort of thing, and it does help them. And, who am I to say whether something actually works for people or not? So, but I'm, probably not a book that I would take on, because I wouldn't feel like it's just not my thing.
You can't throw your weight behind it and enthusiastically crack on with it.
Yeah. And so if that was the case, it's I would be well, that's not my thing. Good luck with it. Here are a couple of people that I think would be a better fit for you. Go talk to them. And just sometimes as well, it's is there not a personality clash necessarily, but, are we going to want to talk to each other for an hour a week plus support in between?
Sure.
And that kind of thing. So there's many, many, many reasons why I might not want to work with someone and why they might not want to work with me. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to get on as, people in the world.
Fellow humans.
Yeah. I hope I get on with most people. So yeah, that's that really.
Okay.
Coming up next week, we're going to talk about my favourite piece of terrible writing advice.
Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, if you want to work with me, then one of the things that, and you're kind of thinking, 6 months coaching program, I haven't got the time or the money to invest in that at the moment. Totally understand. I actually have a thing called a book breakthrough session, which is awesome. It's one of my favourite things to do. And you can find out more about that at moxiebooks.co.uk/borrow my brain. It's the second one down on there. But the book breakthrough session is really cool. So it's I send you a detailed preparation questionnaire for you to fill in. It's basically if you've got an idea for a book and you haven't really done anything with it yet and you don't know how to start or where to start or anything, but you're I want to write a book and I've got no clue what I'm doing or how to do it.
Cool.
I will send you a detailed preparation questionnaire to make sure I get loads of information about you so you get maximum value. And then it's a 90-minute Zoom call with me. We go through your book idea, we look at it from every angle and make sure that it's really clear, you know what you're doing, you know what you want your book to do. So we'll look at the wider implications of where you want your book to be in your business, in your life. And then we will create your reader roadmap and a detailed book outline so that when you go away, you know exactly what the first thing that you're going to do is when you go away to sit down and write, and you can just go and write that book. And if there's extra time left over, we'll plan out the chapters in detail as well. or as many of them as possible. And then you get a 30-minute follow-up call within 2 weeks, usually 2 weeks later, so that you can go away, start work, and then come back with any questions that you might have. Refinements and things like that. You get recording of everything we do, obviously. You get direct Voxer support from, it's like a messaging app from me for a month. So you can ask any follow-up questions whenever you like, and email access as well. And you also get bonus access to my power hours for a month as well. So up to 40 live writing sessions. So you can come and do the work that we've just...
Build that habit and get it done.
Yeah. And so that's really cool. And I love doing these breakthrough sessions with people, and everybody that I've done them with has absolutely loved them. I've done
testimonials all over the website.
Testimonials all over the place. Putting some new ones up at the moment. But that is, price for that is £1,800 plus VAT. And I've got payment plans coming out of my face. I don't know what I was going to say then. Payment plans coming out of my face. So yeah, if that's something that you would like to do and you really want a good, a really strong start for your book, then I absolutely guarantee you'll love the book breakthrough session. You could do that. If you've got any questions about that, again, if you want to hop on a quick call and ask me any questions, you can absolutely email me, vicky@moxiebooks.co.uk, and we'll talk about it. And that's it, really.
All right. If you like the podcast, go to iTunes and subscribe.
Yeah. Helps us climb the rankings. 5 stars, please.
5 stars.
And leave us a review.
Tell your friends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks, Podfly. Thanks, Harriet. And thank you to you, dear listener, for listening to this podcast.
See you next week.
Ta-ta.
Bye. Thanks for listening. You can find links and show notes on the website at moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast, where you can also sign up for the best daily emails in the multiverse and find loads of free resources to help you write your book. We'll be back the same time next week with more tales from the book writing trenches and the latest on what the tiny sheeps have been up to.